stupid hacks. Hacks. That's the name of the 24-hour hackathon that I just finished. Or I guess anti-hackathon, I should say. Everybody gathered in my university's makerspace in order to build something intentionally useless and bad. A camera that would censor normal, safe-for-work objects on your Zoom call. A toilet that would wipe for you.
Oh god!
A depressed robot that gained sentience and would turn itself off.
We ran into a bug halfway through the development. I think it gains...
Those are just some of the projects that were fighting for the crown and the beautiful trophies from this hackathon. Now, maybe you're thinking, Juniper, you don't make electronics, you make games, loser. Yeah, I mean, you're right, but guess what? I just made this electronic flower pot that'll like detect when you come up to it, and then it'll show you the humidity and the moisture and the temperature of the plant. I also made this Arduino snail racing game. 2 players have these little controllers, and if you spam the button faster, then your snail will get to the end and win. So all that to say, guys, I know my way around the old Arduino. So for this hackathon, I was so excited, and I decided to not do any of it. And I made a game using Godot, obviously. I teamed up with my best pals, Nathan and Nepheli, and we set out to make a truly useless, shitty game. It obviously needed to be a bad, useless game, but it still kind of had to be a fun game, or in the least, an amusing to witness game. So our first idea was to make a game that you could only play when you weren't looking at it. It would basically track your eyes, and then if you ever looked at the screen, you wouldn't be able to see the game. That's a pretty bad game, a pretty useless game, if you ask me. Nathan and I spent a long time trying to figure out how we would set up a camera tracker in Godot, and that's the engine we were using. But we had limited time, and it was pretty hard to find any existing libraries for camera tracking.
Like this kind of camera tracking?
Yeah, that's close. That's pretty much it. But we're trying to figure out if we can actually get it implemented in Godot right now, in the time frame.
It's gonna definitely depend on if we can find the right library that somebody else has already done like all the hard parts for, because that's kind of the like technical barrier that we're at. It would be hilarious to make this game that would look at your eyes, but we really only had one night to do this. The hackathon started at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and we only had until Sunday morning, so we decided to start off strong by abandoning our very first project idea. We talked, and we schemed, and we tried to think of a new bad idea for this game. Nathan ended up mentioning this game that he's been playing recently called Consume Me. It's a really cute but deep life simulation game about managing high school stress while also having an eating disorder. My first thought upon seeing this game in the UI was just that there's so much happening and it's so overwhelming. But obviously here that's on purpose and it matches the feel of the game, but it got me thinking about what a game could be like if it's intentionally overwhelming. And there came the idea for our bad game, a dopamine maxing pop-up simulation game where it's styled like a Windows desktop, and the player is absolutely torrented with a bunch of pop-up advertisements and tasks that they have to complete. Viruses you have to get rid of, messages to respond to, subway surfers, more and more pop-ups that just keep coming up and you can't manage them all, but you're trying your best and there's just so many and they're taking over your screen and... What's this? Oh, this is today's sponsor, Factor. Factor brings you fresh, never frozen meals right to your door, and there's an absolutely crazy variety to choose from. My friend and I here, the host of the hackathon actually, we had some fillets and shrimp for one of our meals. I was shocked to see how much protein was in these things, and that goes for any of the meals that I've tried. Until I started working out, I never realized how hard it is to eat enough protein and how much active thought in your day has to go towards meeting your nutrition goals. So Factor really has helped me stay on track with that. It's just one less thing to think about since all you have to do is pop them in the microwave. Ow! I don't know how I'm messing this up. Now, assuming that you can successfully get them into the microwave, after a couple minutes, you've got yourself a full, fresh meal ready to go.
That's stupendous. No, I'm serious.
It is simply stupendous. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code juniperdev_FB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code juniperdev_FB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring. Anyway, now we had a useless game idea, and it was time to build it. Nathan got started on coding some of the core systems, like the random window spawning, and I got started mapping out what the general gameplay loop would look like. We decided that every task would have some sort of requirement associated with it, like entering text or checking a box, and completing those tasks would give you points. And then your score is however many points you can get on your little computer before your in-game battery dies. Now, in terms of the game's aesthetic and the look of it, we had a lot of options. We could do something really Pinteresty and hand-drawn and cute, but we didn't really know if we had time for that. Or we could do a cool kind of custom pixel art thing like Lily's World XD does it, but maybe that is like a little too good and that wouldn't really be shitty enough. So we landed somewhere in the middle and we decided to try and replicate Windows 95 graphics. Windows 95 has a very distinct, iconic look to it. That meant that the background of the game would obviously be the classic Windows wallpaper, and we'd have those nice clicky Windows buttons. Exploring the asset set of Windows 95 really gave me a new appreciation for the UI of this era. There's just a certain charm to the pixelated graphics that I'm really drawn to. It's something that I've seen a lot of other games use because it can feel so comfortable and familiar, or it can feel very scary and liminal. A lot of like horror games tend to use it. Desktop Explorer, Lily's World XD, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which literally nobody knows exists. That one's definitely less of the Windows vibe, but it's still a desktop style nonetheless. So I used the Windows 95 graphics themselves to make fully resizable windows for our pop-ups in Godot. Now, when you're setting up a system like this, it can be pretty tempting to want to just scale up the image of your window, put the text in there, and voila, you're good to go. But this is just really blurry, right? It's kind of ugly. That's why games use something called 9-slicing. 9-slicing is a way of telling your game what parts of an image are allowed to be stretched. If I section my Windows window into a little grid, then I can tell the engine to stretch this part horizontally, this part vertically, and to not touch the corners. And now the engine knows how to make my windows any size, and the corners are always going to stay put. In GameMaker, you just select this on a sprite and then divide your image. And in Godot, there's literally a 9-slicing node. I made the pop-ups in our game with this system, and I also configured getting points, and Nathan made the windows grabbable and spawn randomly. Once we had that in place, pretty much all the building blocks for our game were all done. This idea was pretty solid because it was infinitely expandable once we had the base plates working. It was really just about how many pop-ups we wanted to have in the final game.
Oh my god.
That's a lot of stinky.
How has progress been on your game?
So this is our dopamine maxing game. Right now we just have a bunch of captchas that'll pop up and it'll tell you that it's the stinky captcha, so you just have to enter stinky. And then if you enter stinky, they go away and then you get points. And so the idea is that there's gonna be a bunch of pop-ups for a bunch of different things. Oh, scrolling through an entire terms and conditions, playing Minesweeper, watching Subway Surfers, replying to an Am I the Asshole post on Reddit.
Am I the asshole for organizing a luxury cruise for my birthday and not inviting my parents or siblings? I, a 28-year-old male,
Now, one of the hosts of the event was my friend Andrew, so we of course had to put him in the game to some capacity.
Surfing, close. Have you seen the... Yes, 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 yes. Are you guys encountering any, do you guys have any bugs left that you have to solve tonight?
Oh yeah, I think we need to add a start and end screen. Like once you run out of battery on your laptop, that's game over. You got to try to get as much score as possible. We still want to add more distinct score values. We have a lot more pop-ups we want to add.
A lot more viruses, malware warnings, At this point, we were making slow but steady progress on a truly goofy game, and I was having a blast coming up with pop-up after pop-up. Everything was going great, is what I would say if GitHub didn't decide to absolutely hate us. If you're unfamiliar, GitHub is essentially how you manage any coding project when there's multiple people involved. Nathan can code on his version of the game while I'm coding on mine, and then once I'm done, I can push my code to GitHub, and then he can grab it once he's ready. There might be some lines of code that we both edited, and then we'll have to just choose which version we want to keep, but it's really a great streamlined way to be working on something like this at the same time. Now, all that being said, oh my goodness, I have never encountered so many problems doing the smallest, most insignificant of tasks in Godot. Every time that one of us did something, the other person would only get, like, some of the changes.
Broken. All broken.
Any global file that we modified just wouldn't have the path in the new code for some reason. We were three pretty techie, computer science-minded people, but we were so confused. We were stressed, so we took a break to just relax and mess around and see what everybody else was up to.
My name is Lila. I'm working on my website, but this is all I have. Okay, so essentially, it's dosomethinganything.com. If you click this button right here, it generates a random ChatGPT prompt. You won't even know what it is. But the whole point is if you're really mad, you could just go on and waste water, and hopefully the world will end earlier and put you out of your misery.
Breadboard blocks the motion sensor. And then this should make it P.
Let's hear it. How's progress going?
It's good.
Good.
Oh gosh.
Platypuses are venomous.
Yeah, they've got little hooks on the ends of their paws.
Wombats have weird poop.
That's awesome.
Eventually, it was unfortunately time to lock back in and get to fixing some bugs. We had most of the pop-ups that we wanted in the game at this point, and it was just time to polish everything up. We needed to make sure that grabbed windows would always come to the top of the screen and that there was a proper end screen. A blue screen, of course, fittingly. We needed Subway Surfers to not tank the frame rate of the entire game and crash the editor. And of course, we needed music and sounds, which I've learned is always the most entertaining part of the entire process. We ended up finding this absolute gem of a music track that really just fits the experience perfectly. By this point, it was pretty late, we were pretty tired, and it was time to head out for the day. A successful 10 hours straight of hackathoning was complete, and we'd be back tomorrow morning for the award ceremony. The next morning, I got to campus and I enjoyed my university-provided bagel, while Nefeli and Nathan slaved away at some last-minute bugs. After that, there was really just one last thing to figure out.
Who do you want to play the game?
I don't know. We can just have random people from the audience come up. I don't know.
You could also get one of the judges to play it.
We decided that one of the judges or the helpers for the event would be forced to play it live, which in this case also meant bravely downloading Windows 95.exe to their computer. And with that, we were done. Everybody was done, and it was time for the award ceremony. One after the other, teams got chosen by this wheel of fate to show off their creation. Somebody did an Obama robot, an alarm clock that would grab onto your face, a website to waste water on random AI prompts whenever you're angry. And then it was my team's turn, with the team name that we had carefully and thoughtfully selected.
Kitty kitties! Let's get shitty kitties up here! Shitty kitties, please. Let's hear about your project.
Alright, so I'm sure you have heard of Windows 95. We need a lovely volunteer, maybe one of the judges, if you would like to come up and use Windows 95.
So this is Zach. He's the makerspace coordinator and the professor who actually taught me how to use Arduino. Now, when Zach played our game, he started by just closing out of every tab that popped up, which was hilarious, and I mean, fair enough. But thankfully, eventually, he locked in.
This is very authentic. Yes. Asshole. Yeah. Stinky.
Andrew will be playing.
Yeah, I'm a gamer.
So we did it. In just 12 hours, we had successfully recreated Windows 95 with no errors, no bugs, no pop-up advertisements at all whatsoever. Now, the judging for the event came down to a few different categories. Best storytelling, most useless, worst use of AI. Did Windows 95 win any of these categories? No, but it doesn't matter because hey, you can play Windows 95 for free on itch, no download required. Shout out to my two awesome friends for working with me on this game, and to my friend Andrew, Arrow Creative, for hosting everything. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!